Welcome back to Natural Afro Hair Care. I've got a few stories for you today. A 16-year-old was forced to cut her hair during a softball game. Nicole Pyles from Durham, North Carolina, cut her hair during a game of softball so she could keep playing. On the day, a referee pointed out the length of Nicole's hair meant the number on her uniform could not be read. I'm not sure if that's part of the rules, but it sounds fair enough. Nicole thought so too and decided to tuck her hair into her shirt so the number could be read. Problem solved, right? No, because the referee then said the beads in Nicole's hair violated the rules. Because of this, she was given two options. 1. Stop playing, and 2. Get rid of the beads. Her team was in the lead at the time, and as a good team player, Nicole didn't want this to get in the way of their success, so she chose option 2, to cut the beads off. Although she felt understandably disrespected and humiliated at the time, the choice wasn't really a choice because the team comes first. Braids and the beads that come with them mean a lot to Nicole, and they are a part of her that she does not want to be stripped away. Since the incident, an investigation by Durham Public Schools has said the referee's choices were culturally biased, so hopefully the part of Nicole that means so much to her doesn't have to be stripped away to make room for something that she loves to do. Google's more inclusive camera. Google is working on a new algorithm that will allow its phone cameras to take better pictures of people with darker skin. The company is making changes to the way the phone automatically adjusts its white balance setting to provide more natural brown tones. Changes will also be made to the way dark tones are separated from the background. I'm sure we've all seen pictures where the darker people in the photo fade into the darker background and the lighter skin tones look perfect. Our eyes are far better than camera sensors at seeing a wide range of brightness at once. Phone cameras use something called HDR, where multiple pictures at different exposures are blended together to make the best image. They do this to get around this problem. The problem isn't exclusive to Google, but everyone, because it's just the way cameras work in general. Despite this, it seems Google will be the first in openly making steps to seeing this become a problem of the past. The first phone to support the new camera algorithm will be the new Google Pixel phone, set to launch later this year. So look out for the official press photos or try the phone when it comes out. Black hair experience is expanding. Black hair events have been steadily growing. If you didn't know or haven't been to one yet, there are expos where you can meet the people making a difference in the community. Some are educators, stylists, product owners, and the list goes on. Events are a great way for businesses to meet their customers face to face and show off the things they've been working on. They are good for shoppers because you can meet the people behind the brand and even build a relationship with them. It's always easier to buy something when you know the people behind it are genuinely trying to help. Beyond that, there are unique experiences like the ones Black Hair Experience puts on. The company is expanding from Atlanta, GA to Washington, DC to put on an experience that celebrates decades of culture surrounding black hair. The founders of Black Hair Experience are visual artist Alicia Brooks and photographer Elizabeth Austin Davis. Their exhibit takes you through times that will be completely relatable to you as a person with black hair, including going to beauty salons to get your hair done and buying products from the shop. I haven't managed to go with being in a whole different country and all, but as soon as I get the opportunity, I would love to go and tell you guys how it went. Until then, it will be great to hear about how you found it, if you've been to a show already. UW Hospital provides black hair care products for patients. UW Hospital, or the University of Wisconsin-Madison Hospital, has made big steps towards being more inclusive of black patients. When Dr. Jemima Smith received feedback that there was no personal care products for black patients, two nurses, Ann Malik and Nicole Vlasak, ran with the feedback and made various products available for patient use. These included hair bonnets, hair oil, cocoa buttercream, hair picks and brushes. They knew it was something that required thought and effort to make a large group of people of colour feel welcome in the hospital. It meant the hospital council had to do research into various existing products, comparing cost, quality, and other things to make a list of the most suitable products. After weeks of looking at data and decision-making behind the scenes, the hospital was ready to test out the products. In testing, they put some products out for use and made a note of how fast they were used. Generally, the faster they were used, the more the patients liked them. This is great work, but the journey doesn't end there. The hospital wants to move away from a one-size-fits-all way of thinking and supply and create an experience that meets each individual's needs. This got me thinking about where else we might see products for black people in the future. You know when you go to the hotel and there are the little bottles in the bathroom, usually shampoo, shower gel and sometimes conditioner. Well, I don't use any of that. I usually bring my own, but I've tried them in the past out of curiosity and they do nothing for me. What if hotels gave us an option of choosing something tailored to black people especially? Would you use them? What kind of products would you like to see in the hotel when you arrive? Popsugar tells us it's Afro hair summer care tips. As we all know, hair reacts in different ways depending on what season it is. The routine you follow in winter is probably not the same one you follow in summer. That's because our hair is so sensitive to humidity and temperature. While the team over at Popsugar know this all too well, and with summer just around the corner, they have come up with a list of tips to help your hair stay strong and healthy. There are lists for hair care all over the internet. We even have our own. The quality of advice differs through various sources, so let's take a look at a few in Popsugar's list to see if I agree. Check out the show notes in the description below for a link to the full list. Number 1. Protection and hydration are vital. Yes, I 100% agree. If you wash your hair and leave the house without putting anything in it, then you're asking for problems. Our hair needs some form of protection, usually in the form of leave-in conditioner and sometimes oil. Doing this work helps our hair stay hydrated, which keeps it healthy. Number 2. Protection while swimming. 100% agree again. If you go swimming and don't wear a swimming cap, wash out the chlorine or salt water as soon as possible, then add conditioner. You don't want chlorine or salt water sitting in your hair for too long because it will dry out and end up damaged. Comb through hair while it's damp. Partially agree with this one, but I think it needs a bit more clarity. Depending on your hair type and the condition of your hair at the time, water can actually make your hair more prone to damage. Have you ever noticed that your hair can stretch and snap more easily when it's wet? I would suggest finger combing when it's wet, drying it, and then using a detangling leave-in conditioner to assist you when combing. It gives you some extra slip so there's less friction, meaning less breakage. So did you agree with the full list? Let me know in the comments. DNA test for African Americans to trace your history. For many groups of people around the world, if you want to know about your family history, you can find out who is who with relative ease. That's because, as people, we have a skill for recording history for future generations. This includes information on family history like birth dates, marriages, children's names, job titles, and more. It means that if you fit into one of the privileged groups where your history has been recorded accurately, it's just a matter of paying for a search or looking into a database yourself to start tracing. I say privileged because for one group in particular, this is just not an option. African Americans and other groups that had ancestors in the slave trade were not given the same treatment. Accurate information was not kept on the family trees of slaves, so there's a dark patch in history where tracing back gives you a dead end or information you just cannot trust. Professor of Communications Anita Foman of Westchester University calls this dead end the wall of slavery. She has offered students another way to trace their history by using DNA tests. A DNA test is able to allow researchers to look into your genetic makeup and tell you where in the world your ancestors most likely originate. In most cases, there is a split between continents with varying percentages. While most families have some idea where they came from and pass this knowledge down through word of mouth, some students are completely surprised at the results. It's not uncommon to find a high percentage of European or even some Native American, even though physically you look completely black. The process gives students an alternative way of looking into their history when physically recorded records just aren't enough. It opens up the conversation about how diverse we really are. Time for our black-owned hair company of the week. This week it's Two Curls, One Mission. Two Curls, One Mission was founded by natural hair enthusiast Dynasty Harris in 2015. Based in Springfield, Massachusetts, Dynasty decided to create her own products after sharing hair tips on her Instagram page, which helped her grow her following. Lots of testing with vegan and organic ingredients led to the products you can buy now. She has oils, conditioner, curling creams, and all the products you would expect to see from a natural hair care company. All links for the show are in the description below. See you next week.